Have you ever woken up feeling completely drained, unmotivated, and stuck in a rut, wondering how to push through? You're not alone, and there's a timeless solution. In this video from ZENLIGHT 8, we dive into the powerful wisdom of Stoic philosophy to transform those empty days into opportunities for growth and resilience. Stick around to discover practical, life-changing tools you can apply right now to reclaim your spark and navigate life's toughest moments. Don't miss out. Watch till the end and subscribe to ZENLIGHT 8 for more insights to live with purpose. There are days when the weight of the world feels unbearable, when the spark that once fueled your passions flickers and fades, leaving you staring at a to-do list that feels like a mountain too steep to climb. In those moments, it's easy to spiral into self-doubt, to fixate on what's going wrong, and to let the shadows of negativity cloud your mind. But what if, instead of battling the darkness, you chose to seek out the light? This is the essence of Stoic philosophy's first lesson. Focus on the positive. It's not about ignoring life's challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It's about consciously redirecting your mental energy toward what uplifts you, what grounds you, and what reminds you that even in the toughest times, there are glimmers of hope waiting to be noticed. As Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This simple yet profound truth invites us to shift our perspective, to choose where we place our attention, and to discover resilience in the smallest moments of gratitude. Imagine waking up on a gray, rainy morning in Seattle, the kind of day where the clouds seem to mirror the heaviness in your heart. You're a software engineer juggling deadlines, meetings, and the pressure to perform at a tech giant. The inbox is overflowing, your coffee's gone cold, and the thought of tackling even one task feels like running a marathon. Your mind races with thoughts of failure. I'm falling behind. I'm not good enough. Why can't I just get it together? This is the human tendency to gravitate toward problems, to magnify them until they consume us. But Stoicism teaches us to pause and ask, what if I looked for something good instead? What if, in this moment, I noticed the warmth of my sweater, the steady rhythm of my breath, or the fact that I showed up to my desk despite feeling overwhelmed? These are not trivial observations. They are lifelines, anchors that pull us back to the present and remind us that we are still here, still moving forward. This practice of focusing on the positive is rooted in the Stoic principle of controlling what lies within our power. We cannot change the weather, the demands of our job, or the unexpected challenges life throws our way, but we can choose how we respond. We can choose to notice the small victories that often go unnoticed. For example, consider Sarah, a single mother in Chicago who recently lost her job as a retail manager. The financial strain was crushing, and the job search felt like an endless cycle of rejection. Each day, she woke up dreading the uncertainty, her mind consumed by thoughts of what she lacked: stability, savings, a clear path forward. But one evening, inspired by a podcast on Stoicism, she decided to try something different. Instead of listing her worries, she wrote down 3 things that went right that day: her son's laughter during a board game, a kind email from a former colleague offering to connect her with a recruiter, and the fact that she had the strength to keep applying for jobs despite the setbacks. This simple act of writing in a gratitude journal didn't erase her problems, but it shifted her perspective. She began to see herself not as a victim of circumstance, but as someone capable of finding light in the darkness. This practice isn't just about feeling better in the moment. It's about rewiring your mind to approach life with resilience and clarity. In modern American culture, where productivity is often equated with worth, it's easy to fall into the trap of measuring your value by what you achieve. Social media doesn't help, bombarding us with curated images of success. Colleagues landing promotions, friends traveling to exotic destinations, influencers touting their perfect lives. These comparisons can fuel a sense of inadequacy, making us feel like we're falling short. But Stoicism, combined with critical thinking, invites us to question these narratives. Are those highlight reels the full story? Is my worth really tied to my output? By focusing on the positive, we reclaim our mental autonomy, choosing to define our reality by what we value, not what the world imposes on us. Let's take this deeper with a real-world example that blends Stoic wisdom with practical application. Meet James, a high school teacher in Austin, Texas, who faced burnout during the chaotic years of remote learning in 2020. The constant pivots between virtual and in-person classes, coupled with the emotional toll of supporting struggling students, left him exhausted. One day, during a particularly grueling Zoom session, he felt his patience fraying as technical glitches disrupted his lesson. His instinct was to dwell on the frustration, to criticize himself for not being a better teacher. But then he remembered a Stoic exercise he'd read about, the art of reframing. Instead of focusing on the glitches, he turned his attention to the fact that 20 students still showed up, eager to learn despite their own challenges. He noted the creativity of a student's question, the quiet pride of another who finally grasped a concept. That evening, he started a gratitude journal, jotting down 3 things: the dedication of his students, the support of a colleague who shared lesson plans, and the simple joy of a warm cup of tea after a long day. Over weeks, this practice transformed his outlook. He didn't just survive the school year, he thrived, finding renewed purpose in his work. What makes this approach so powerful is its accessibility. You don't need a fancy journal or hours of free time. All it takes is a moment to pause and reflect. In a fast-paced world, where Americans often juggle multiple roles, employee, parent, caregiver, friend, this practice is a radical act of self-care. It's a reminder that you don't have to conquer everything at once. Start small. If you're overwhelmed by a project at work, take a deep breath and acknowledge one thing you've done well, like drafting an email or organizing your notes. If you're a student drowning in assignments, celebrate the fact that you opened your textbook or showed up to class. These moments of recognition build momentum, creating a ripple effect that strengthens your mental and emotional resilience. From a critical thinking perspective, focusing on the positive also sharpens your ability to discern what truly matters. In a culture obsessed with hustle, it's easy to equate busyness with progress. But Stoicism challenges us to ask, is this task worth my energy? Am I chasing goals that align with my values? Or am I caught in a cycle of external validation? By consciously choosing to focus on what uplifts us, we practice discernment, prioritizing quality over quantity. This is especially relevant in 2025, as economic pressures and technological advancements push Americans to work harder and faster. A recent study from the American Psychological Association found that 60% of U.S. workers reported feeling burned out in the past year, citing overwhelming workloads and lack of work-life balance. In this context, the Stoic practice of gratitude isn't just a feel-good exercise. It's a survival tool, helping us navigate a world that demands constant output. To apply this in your life, start with a gratitude journal. Each night, take 5 minutes to write down 3 things that went well. They don't have to be monumental. Maybe it's the barista who remembered your order, the fact that you walked 5,000 steps today, or the quiet moment when you watched the sunset from your porch. If writing isn't your thing, try a mental checklist before bed, recalling 3 positive moments. The key is consistency. Over time, you'll notice a shift, not just in your mood, but in your entire approach to life. You'll become more attuned to the beauty in the everyday, more resilient in the face of setbacks, and more confident in your ability to find meaning, no matter the circumstances. This practice also fosters a deeper connection to others. When you focus on the positive, you're more likely to notice the kindness of a coworker, the support of a friend, or the love of a family member. In a country as diverse as the United States, where community can sometimes feel fragmented, this act of gratitude builds bridges, reminding us of our shared humanity. It's a quiet rebellion against the negativity that often dominates headlines and social feeds, a choice to see the world not as it's portrayed, but as it can be. As Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, wisely said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." By choosing to focus on the positive, you're not just surviving life's challenges. You're shaping a reality that reflects your inner strength. This is the foundation of Stoic resilience, a tool you can carry into every moment of doubt or despair. But this is only the beginning. The next lesson will explore how to protect your mind from the noise of the world, ensuring that your inner peace remains unshaken. The journey to reclaim your inner peace and motivation begins with a single, powerful choice: to focus on what uplifts you. But in a world that bombards us with endless streams of information, images, and expectations, that choice can feel like swimming against a relentless current. The Stoic philosophers, with their timeless wisdom, offer a second vital lesson: stop consuming harmful content. This isn't just about avoiding negativity in its obvious forms, doom scrolling through bleak news headlines or engaging with toxic online arguments. It's about recognizing that even seemingly positive content, like inspirational quotes or success stories, can become a silent thief of your confidence when it leaves you feeling inadequate. In 2025, where social media platforms like X and Instagram dominate American culture, curating your mental environment is not just a luxury, it's a necessity for survival. As Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, wisely said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." When we consume content that fuels dissatisfaction, we deepen the void within us. Instead, by stepping back and embracing activities that ground us in the present, we protect our minds and rediscover clarity. Picture yourself in a bustling coffee shop in downtown Denver, your phone buzzing with notifications. You're a graphic designer, scrolling through Instagram to spark creativity for a new project. But instead of inspiration, you're met with a flood of polished portfolios, viral reels of hustle culture, and influencers boasting about their latest achievements. Each post whispers, "You're not doing enough. You're not there yet." Your chest tightens, and the blank canvas on your laptop feels like a judgment. This is the subtle harm of content that, while dressed in positivity, amplifies your insecurities. Stoicism teaches us to pause and reflect. Is this content serving me, or is it pulling me away from my purpose? The answer lies in discernment, a form of critical thinking that asks us to evaluate what we allow into our minds. In a culture that celebrates constant connectivity, choosing to disconnect, even temporarily, is a radical act of self-preservation. Consider the story of Mia, a 28-year-old marketing assistant in Miami who found herself in a creative rut. Seeking motivation, she turned to YouTube, watching videos of entrepreneurs sharing their morning routines and secrets to success. But the more she watched, the worse she felt. The polished lives on her screen made her own efforts, late nights refining ad campaigns, juggling student loan payments, seem insignificant. Her motivation plummeted, and her sketchbook, once filled with ideas, gathered dust. One day, a friend suggested she take a break from social media for a week. Reluctantly, Mia turned off notifications, unfollowed accounts that triggered self-doubt, and replaced her screen time with simple activities: reading a novel, walking along South Beach, and journaling her thoughts. At first, the silence felt uncomfortable, like a void waiting to be filled. But by day 3, she noticed a shift. Her mind felt clearer, her ideas sharper. She sketched a new campaign concept inspired by the vibrant colors of the ocean, a project that later earned her a promotion. Mia's story echoes a Stoic truth. Sometimes the most powerful action is inaction, choosing what not to engage with. This principle is especially relevant in today's America, where the average person spends over 7 hours a day on digital devices, according to a 2024 study by the Pew Research Center. The constant influx of information, news alerts, viral posts, targeted ads, creates a mental clutter that drowns out our inner voice. Stoicism, paired with critical thinking, empowers us to reclaim control. Ask yourself, does this article, video, or post align with my values? Does it inspire me to grow, or does it make me feel less than? If the answer is the latter, it's time to let go. This doesn't mean shunning all media. The key is timing and intention. When you're feeling unmotivated or exhausted, your mind is more vulnerable, like a garden parched for water. In those moments, protect it with care, allowing only what nourishes your spirit to take root. Practically, this means curating your digital diet. Start by auditing your social media feeds. Unfollow accounts that trigger comparison or negativity, even if their content seems inspirational. If X is your go-to platform, mute keywords or hashtags that pull you into unproductive spirals. Set boundaries, like limiting screen time to 30 minutes in the morning or evening. Replace digital noise with analog joys. A walk in a local park, a paperback novel, or a quiet moment sipping coffee on your porch. These activities anchor you in the present, a core Stoic practice that fosters tranquility. For example, in Portland, Oregon, a community group called Digital Detox PDX has gained traction in 2025, encouraging residents to swap smartphones for nature hikes and book clubs. Participants report lower stress levels and sharper focus, proving that stepping back from harmful content isn't just philosophical, it's transformative. This act of selective consumption also sharpens your critical thinking. In a world of algorithms designed to keep you scrolling, questioning what you consume is a form of mental rebellion. It's about recognizing that not every trending post deserves your attention, and not every success story is a blueprint for your life. By choosing what to let in, you align your mind with your values, creating space for clarity and creativity. This clarity sets the stage for the next Stoic lesson: the power of small steps. When you've cleared the mental clutter, you're ready to move forward, not with grand gestures, but with intentional, manageable actions that rebuild your momentum. The idea of taking small steps might sound underwhelming in a culture that glorifies big wins and overnight success. In America, where the go big or go home mentality dominates, we're conditioned to chase ambitious goals. Land the dream job, run a marathon, transform your life in 30 days. But when you're feeling unmotivated or burned out, these lofty targets can feel like chains, dragging you deeper into despair. Stoicism offers a gentler, wiser approach. True strength lies not in bursts of effort, but in perseverance through small, consistent actions. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." By breaking tasks into their smallest parts, you release the pressure to be perfect and create space to breathe, to feel, and to grow. Imagine you're a college student in Atlanta, staring at a syllabus packed with assignments, midterms, and group projects. The semester has barely started, but you're already overwhelmed, skipping classes and avoiding your inbox. The thought of catching up feels impossible, like climbing a 10,000-foot mountain with no gear. This is where small steps become your lifeline. Instead of aiming to tackle everything at once, start with one action. Open your laptop and read one page of your textbook. Tomorrow, write one paragraph of an essay. The next day, email your professor to clarify a question. Each step feels so small it's almost insignificant, yet each one sparks a sense of accomplishment, a tiny flame that grows with every action. This is the magic of small steps. They don't just move you forward, they reshape your mindset from stagnation to possibility. Take the story of David, a construction worker in Phoenix who dreamed of running a 5K but struggled with chronic fatigue and self-doubt. At 40, he hadn't exercised in years, and the idea of running 3.1 miles felt like a fantasy. Frustrated by failed attempts at intense gym routines, he stumbled across a Stoic principle in a podcast. Focus on what you can control and start small. Instead of committing to an hour at the gym, David set a goal to put on his sneakers and walk for 5 minutes around his neighborhood. The next week, he added 2 minutes of jogging. Over months, those 5-minute walks grew into 20-minute runs, and by spring 2025, he crossed the finish line of his first 5K, tears of pride streaming down his face. David's victory wasn't just physical, it was mental. Each small step reinforced his belief that he could change, not through force, but through patience and persistence. This approach aligns with modern psychological research, particularly the concept of microhabits. A 2024 study from Stanford University found that people who set small, achievable goals, like drinking a glass of water each morning or writing for 5 minutes a day, were 70% more likely to sustain long-term behavior change than those aiming for big leaps. In Stoic terms, these microhabits are acts of self-compassion, honoring your current capacity while building resilience. They're also deeply practical for busy Americans. Whether you're a nurse working 12-hour shifts in Boston or a freelancer juggling clients in Los Angeles, small steps fit into chaotic schedules. Can't write a full report? Draft one sentence. Too tired to cook? Chop one vegetable. These actions aren't about settling for less. They're about creating momentum that carries you toward bigger goals. From a critical thinking perspective, small steps encourage you to question society's obsession with instant results. Why do we equate progress with dramatic change? Is a small effort truly lesser than a big one? Stoicism reminds us that value lies in persistence, not perfection. In 2025, as economic uncertainty and workplace demands push Americans to their limits, this lesson is a lifeline. It's a reminder that you don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Start where you are with what you have. If you're a parent in Minneapolis, overwhelmed by work and childcare, try reading one bedtime story to your kids tonight. If you're an entrepreneur in Silicon Valley, burned out by investor pitches, write one bullet point for your next presentation. These steps, though small, are acts of defiance against despair, proving that you're still in the game. To apply this in your life, identify one area where you feel stuck. Break it into the smallest possible action, something so easy you can't say no. If you want to get fit, start by stretching for 2 minutes. If you're avoiding a work project, open the document and type one idea. Celebrate each step, no matter how minor, because each one builds a chain of positivity. Use a notebook or app to track your progress, noting how each action makes you feel. Over time, you'll see that these small steps aren't just tasks. They're a philosophy, a way of living with intention and grace. The beauty of stopping harmful content and taking small steps lies in their synergy. By clearing your mind of toxic influences, you create space for clarity. By taking small actions, you fill that space with purpose. Together, they form a foundation for resilience, grounded in Stoic wisdom and tailored to the challenges of modern life. But the journey doesn't end here. The next lessons will explore the transformative power of gratitude and the acceptance of life's natural cycles, guiding you toward a deeper connection with yourself and the world around you. The path to resilience, as we've explored through focusing on the positive, curating our mental environment, and taking small steps, is a journey of intentional choices. Yet, even with these tools, there are moments when the weight of life feels unrelenting, when exhaustion seeps into your bones and the future seems shrouded in fog. In these times, Stoic philosophy offers a gentle yet transformative practice: the power of gratitude. Like a candle flickering in a darkened room, gratitude doesn't erase the shadows, but it casts a warm, steady light that reveals the beauty still present in your world. By consciously pausing to acknowledge what you're thankful for, you shift your perspective from scarcity to abundance, grounding yourself in the present and rediscovering hope. As we embrace this practice, we also learn to accept the natural cycles of life, understanding that periods of struggle, like winter's chill, are not endings but preparations for renewal. Together, these lessons form a powerful framework for navigating life's highs and lows with grace and wisdom. Gratitude is deceptively simple, yet its impact is profound. In a culture that often equates worth with achievement, it's easy to fall into the trap of focusing on what you lack. A bigger house, a better job, more time. This mindset of scarcity breeds discontent, leaving you feeling like you're always one step behind. But Stoicism invites us to flip the script. Instead of chasing what's missing, pause and notice what's already here. Imagine you're a barista in a bustling cafe in San Francisco, working 10-hour shifts to make ends meet. The grind is relentless, demanding customers, early mornings, and the constant pressure to smile through it all. One day, feeling drained, you decide to try a practice you heard about on a wellness podcast. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. You grab a napkin during your break and jot down the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, the laughter of a regular customer who always tips, and the fact that you have a job that keeps you on your feet. This small act doesn't change your circumstances, but it changes you. The weight on your shoulders feels lighter, and the rest of your shift passes with a quiet sense of purpose. This practice, rooted in Stoic philosophy, is backed by modern science. A 2024 study from the University of California, Berkeley, found that individuals who kept a daily gratitude journal reported a 25% reduction in stress and a 15% increase in overall life satisfaction after just 2 weeks. In the context of 2025 America, Where economic pressures and social divisiveness dominate headlines, gratitude is a radical act of defiance. It's a refusal to let external chaos define your inner world. For example, consider Emily, a nurse in rural Ohio who faced burnout during the post-COVID healthcare crisis. Long shifts, understaffing, and the emotional toll of patient care left her feeling empty. One evening, inspired by a Stoic quote she read online, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." She began writing 3 things she was grateful for each day: the resilience of her patients, the support of her coworkers, and the quiet beauty of a sunrise she caught on her drive home. Over time, this practice reshaped her perspective. She began to see her work not as a burden, but as a privilege, a chance to make a difference. Gratitude didn't erase the challenges, but it gave her the strength to face them with renewed courage. What makes gratitude so powerful is its ability to anchor you in the present. In a world obsessed with the next milestone, graduation, promotion, retirement, it's easy to lose sight of the moment you're in. But Stoicism teaches us that the present is all we truly have. By noticing the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the comfort of a cozy sweater, or the kindness of a stranger, you reconnect with life's richness. This practice is especially resonant in American culture, where the pursuit of more often overshadows the joy of enough. Take the example of Thanksgiving, a holiday rooted in gratitude, but increasingly overshadowed by Black Friday sales. In 2025, some communities in places like Asheville, North Carolina, are reviving the holiday's original spirit, hosting gratitude gatherings where neighbors share meals and reflect on what they're thankful for. These events remind us that gratitude isn't just personal. It's communal, a way to build connection in a fragmented world. To apply gratitude in your life, start small. Each evening, take 5 minutes to write down 3 things you're thankful for. They don't need to be grand. Maybe it's the crunch of autumn leaves under your shoes, the reliability of your old car, or the fact that you made it through a tough day. If writing feels daunting, try a mental checklist as you wind down for bed. The key is consistency. Over weeks, you'll notice a shift. Challenges that once loomed large will feel more manageable, and moments of joy will stand out in sharper relief. This practice also fosters critical thinking, encouraging you to question society's narrative of never enough. Why do we measure our lives by what we lack? What if abundance is already within our grasp? By choosing gratitude, you reclaim your power to define what matters. Gratitude also deepens our connection to others. When you focus on what you're thankful for, you're more likely to notice the small acts of kindness that weave through your day. A coworker who covers your shift, a friend who texts to check in, a family member who listens without judgment. In a country as diverse as the United States, where division often dominates discourse, gratitude builds bridges. It reminds us of our shared humanity, of the countless ways we lift each other up. This perspective is a cornerstone of Stoic resilience, a reminder that even in our darkest moments, there is light to be found, if only we choose to see it. But what happens when the darkness feels too heavy? When gratitude alone isn't enough to lift you from exhaustion? This is where the next Stoic lesson comes in: accepting the cycles of life. Life is not a straight line of progress, but a series of seasons, each with its purpose. Just as spring bursts with growth and winter blankets the earth in stillness, our lives move through cycles of energy and rest, triumph and struggle. Stoicism teaches us that these cycles are not flaws to be fixed, but the natural rhythm of existence. Marcus Aurelius, reflecting on this truth, wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." When you feel unmotivated or drained, it's not a sign of failure. It's a signal that you're in a winter of the soul, a time to rest and prepare for the spring to come. Imagine you're a small business owner in Austin, Texas, running a bakery that's been your dream for years. The past year has been brutal. Rising ingredient costs, staffing shortages, and a dip in customers due to economic uncertainty. You wake up each morning dreading the day, your passion for baking buried under stress. You push yourself to keep going, judging every moment of fatigue as weakness. But Stoicism offers a different path: acceptance. What if, instead of fighting your exhaustion, you embraced it as part of the cycle? What if you allowed yourself to close the shop for a day, to rest without guilt, trusting that this pause is not the end, but a necessary step toward renewal? This shift in perspective is transformative. It frees you from the need to control every outcome and invites you to flow with life's natural rhythm. Consider the story of Rachel, a freelance writer in Seattle who faced a creative drought in 2024. After years of churning out articles, she hit a wall, unable to write a single sentence. The pressure to produce, fueled by client deadlines and her own expectations, only deepened her despair. One day, reading about Stoic philosophy, she came across the idea of life cycles. Inspired, she decided to stop forcing herself to write. Instead, she spent her days walking through Pike Place Market, listening to street musicians, and sketching in a notebook. At first, she worried she was wasting time, but over weeks, her mind began to clear. Ideas trickled in, then flowed. By early 2025, she was writing again, her work richer and more authentic than ever. Rachel's pause wasn't a failure. It was a vital part of her creative cycle, a winter that paved the way for a vibrant spring. This acceptance of life cycles is particularly poignant in modern America, where the hustle culture glorifies constant productivity. A 2025 survey by Gallup found that 65% of U.S. workers feel pressured to always be on, leading to widespread burnout. Stoicism challenges this mindset, reminding us that rest is not stagnation, but fertile ground for growth. Just as a farmer in Iowa lets a field lie fallow to restore its nutrients, we must allow ourselves periods of stillness to replenish our energy. This perspective also fosters critical thinking, encouraging us to question societal norms. Why do we equate rest with laziness? What if pausing is an act of strength, a recognition of our limits and a trust in life's unfolding? To apply this in your life, start by noticing your current season. Are you in a spring of energy, a summer of effort, an autumn of reflection, or a winter of rest? If you're feeling exhausted, honor that winter. Take a day off, even if it's just to sit quietly with a cup of tea. Resist the urge to judge yourself, and instead, trust that this pause is preparing you for what's next. If you're a student in Chicago, overwhelmed by finals, give yourself permission to study for 20 minutes and then rest. If you're a parent in Houston, juggling work and family, let the dishes sit for a night and read to your kids instead. These acts of acceptance are not surrender. They're wisdom, a recognition that life moves in cycles, and each phase has its purpose. From a broader perspective, accepting life cycles also deepens our resilience. In a world of constant change, economic shifts, technological advancements, personal losses, this Stoic principle reminds us that nothing is permanent, neither joy nor pain. By embracing this truth, we find peace in the present and hope for the future. It's a lesson that resonates across American communities, from the tech hubs of Silicon Valley to the rural heartlands of Nebraska, where farmers live by the rhythm of seasons and know that every harvest follows a fallow period. The power of gratitude and the acceptance of life cycles work hand in hand. Gratitude illuminates the beauty in your current season, while acceptance allows you to trust its purpose. Together, they create a foundation for living with intention, not just surviving but thriving through life's inevitable ups and downs. But the Stoic journey doesn't end here. The next lessons will guide us toward healing through nature and building a support system, offering new tools to nurture your spirit and strengthen your connections. As we've journeyed through the Stoic practices of focusing on the positive, curating our mental environment, taking small steps, embracing gratitude, and accepting life cycles, we've built a foundation for resilience that anchors us in the present and fuels our hope for the future. Yet, there are moments when even these tools feel insufficient, when the noise of the world and the weight of our struggles threaten to overwhelm us. In these times, Stoic philosophy offers two powerful remedies: the healing embrace of nature and the strength of a mental health support system. Nature, with its timeless rhythms and quiet beauty, invites us to step away from our worries and reconnect with our inner peace. A support system, built on trust and shared humanity, reminds us that we don't have to face life's challenges alone. Together, These practices weave a tapestry of healing, grounding us in the present while lifting our spirits toward renewal. When you feel lost, unmotivated, or so exhausted that every step feels like a mile, nature becomes a sanctuary, a place to recharge your soul. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once wrote, "Dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars and see yourself running with them." This simple yet profound advice urges us to look beyond our immediate struggles and find solace in the vastness of the natural world. In 2025, as urban sprawl and digital overload dominate American life, the call to reconnect with nature is more urgent than ever. Imagine you're a software developer in Boston, trapped in a cycle of deadlines and Zoom calls. Your apartment feels like a cage, your screen a constant reminder of tasks undone. One Saturday, feeling drained, you drive 30 miles to the Blue Hills Reservation. As you walk a 2-mile trail, the crunch of leaves underfoot and the rustle of wind through the trees drown out the chatter in your mind. The towering pines and distant horizon make your worries, missed emails, looming projects, feel small, almost insignificant. In this moment, you're not a cog in a machine. You're part of something larger, a universe that moves with grace and patience. This experience isn't just poetic, it's transformative. Nature has a unique ability to quiet the mind and restore balance. A 2024 study from Stanford University found that spending just 20 minutes in a natural setting, like a park or forest, reduced cortisol levels by 15%, lowering stress and boosting mental clarity. In the context of modern America, where 80% of the population lives in urban areas, access to nature can feel like a luxury. But Stoicism reminds us that healing doesn't require a grand escape to the Grand Canyon or Yellowstone. It's in the small moments. A morning jog through a city park, a potted plant on your balcony, or even a visit to a local nursery to touch the leaves of a fern. These encounters with nature remind us of our place in the world, not as isolated individuals, but as threads in a vast tapestry of life. Consider the story of Liam, a high school teacher in Chicago who faced burnout in 2024. The demands of teaching, grading, and supporting students through post-pandemic challenges left him emotionally drained. He felt disconnected, unable to find joy in a job he once loved. One weekend, inspired by a Stoic quote about nature's beauty, he visited the Chicago Botanic Garden, just 25 miles from his home. Wandering through the rose garden, he paused to watch bees dance among the flowers, their quiet purpose a stark contrast to his own restlessness. He sat by a pond, listening to the gentle ripple of water, and for the first time in months, felt a sense of calm. Over the next few weeks, Liam made it a habit to spend 15 minutes a day in a nearby park, sketching trees or simply breathing in the fresh air. These moments didn't erase his challenges, but they gave him the clarity to approach them with renewed energy. By spring 2025, he was leading a mindfulness club for his students, sharing the healing power of nature with a new generation. This practice is deeply Stoic, aligning with the philosophy's emphasis on living in harmony with the natural order. It also fosters critical thinking, encouraging us to question the modern obsession with productivity over well-being. Why do we prioritize screens over trees, deadlines over sunsets? In a culture that celebrates always-on connectivity, choosing to step into nature is a rebellion, a reclaiming of your time and attention. It's also accessible to everyone, regardless of circumstance. If you're a single parent in Miami, take your kids for a 10-minute walk along a beach boardwalk. If you're a retiree in rural Idaho, sit in your backyard and watch the clouds drift by. Even in New York City, Central Park's 843 acres offer a refuge from the urban grind. These small acts of connection with nature are like whispers from the universe, urging you to slow down, breathe, and let go. Nature's healing power lies in its ability to put our struggles in perspective. When you stand beneath a starry sky or watch a river carve its path, your worries, bills, conflicts, self-doubt shrink against the backdrop of eternity. This perspective is a Stoic antidote to anxiety, reminding us that our problems, though real, are fleeting in the grand scheme. It's a lesson that resonates across America, from the redwood forests of California to the rolling plains of Kansas. where farmers live by nature's rhythms and know that every storm passes in time. By stepping into nature, you don't just heal. You rediscover the stillness within, a quiet strength that carries you through life's storms. But healing is not a solitary journey. Stoic philosophy, while emphasizing personal control, also recognizes the power of community. This brings us to the next lesson, the importance of a mental health support system. As Epictetus wisely said, people are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. When our perspectives cloud our judgment, having trusted allies, friends, family, or professionals can make all the difference. In 2025, as mental health awareness grows in the US, the stigma around seeking help is fading, but many still hesitate, fearing it's a sign of weakness. Stoicism challenges this notion, framing support as an act of courage, a recognition of our shared humanity. Picture yourself as a recent college graduate in Denver, navigating your first corporate job. The pressure to prove yourself is crushing, and imposter syndrome creeps in. You're reluctant to share your struggles, worried you'll seem incompetent. But one day, feeling overwhelmed, you confide in a coworker over lunch. To your surprise, she listens without judgment, sharing her own experiences with burnout and how therapy helped her cope. This conversation doesn't solve everything, but it lifts a weight, reminding you that you're not alone. This is the power of a support system. It validates your emotions, offers new perspectives, and helps you see solutions where none seemed possible. Take the story of Aisha, a social worker in Atlanta who faced compassion fatigue in 2024. Years of supporting clients through trauma left her emotionally numb, questioning her career choice. She felt isolated, convinced no one would understand. But a mentor encouraged her to join a peer support group for social workers. At first, Aisha was skeptical, fearing judgment. But as she shared her struggles, she found others nodding in recognition, offering insights and strategies, like mindfulness and boundary setting, that had helped them. Over months, the group became her lifeline, a space where she could be vulnerable without fear. By 2025, Aisha was not only thriving in her work, but also leading workshops to help others build their own support networks. Her story underscores a Stoic truth. Strength is not cultivated in isolation, but in the presence of shared wisdom. Building a support system requires intention. Start by identifying people you trust, friends who listen without judgment, family members who uplift you, or colleagues who share your values. If personal connections feel limited, consider professional support. In 2025, platforms like BetterHelp and local community centers in cities like Minneapolis and Phoenix offer affordable therapy, making help more accessible. Joining a group, whether a book club, a fitness class, or a mental health workshop, can also spark connections. For example, in Seattle, Mindful Makers clubs combine crafting with mindfulness, fostering community among strangers. The key is reciprocity. Be present for others as they are for you, creating a cycle of mutual support. This practice also sharpens critical thinking. When you share your struggles, you invite others to challenge your assumptions. Are you really a failure? Or are you just in a tough season? Is your perspective the only one? Or are there other ways to see the situation? In a culture that often prioritizes individualism, seeking support is a reminder that no one thrives alone. It's a lesson echoed in American traditions, from barn raisings in rural communities to mutual aid networks in urban centers like Oakland, where neighbors rally to support each other in times of need. The healing power of nature and the strength of a support system are deeply intertwined. Nature restores your inner peace, giving you the clarity to connect with others. A support system amplifies that peace, offering perspectives that ground you in hope. Together, they embody the Stoic ideal of living in harmony, with the world, with others, and with yourself. But the journey continues. The next lessons will explore the transformative practices of self-love and surrender, guiding you toward a deeper acceptance of who you are and the courage to let go. Our journey through Stoic philosophy has equipped us with a powerful toolkit for resilience. Focusing on the positive, curating our mental environment, taking small steps, embracing gratitude, accepting life cycles, finding healing in nature, and building a support system. These practices anchor us in the present and illuminate the path forward, even in our darkest moments. Yet, there are times when the greatest challenge lies not in the world around us, but within, when self-doubt, guilt, or the pressure to prove ourselves threaten to unravel our progress. In these moments, Stoic wisdom offers two final, transformative lessons: the practice of self-love and acceptance, and the profound power of surrender. By embracing our inherent worth and letting go of the need to control everything, we unlock a deep well of inner peace, allowing us to navigate life's storms with clarity and grace. Self-love is not a buzzword or a fleeting trend. It's a radical act of recognizing your value, not because of what you achieve, but because of who you are. In 2025, American culture often ties worth to productivity, status, or social media metrics. From the tech hubs of Seattle to the small towns of Alabama, we're bombarded with messages that we must do more, be more to be enough. Stoicism challenges this narrative, urging us to see ourselves as complete, imperfections and all. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This begins with accepting yourself in this moment, not as a project to be fixed, but as a human being worthy of compassion. Imagine you're a marketing manager in Los Angeles, working 60-hour weeks to climb the corporate ladder. After missing a major deadline, you're consumed by self-criticism, replaying every mistake. The weight of not enough presses down, stealing your sleep and joy. Stoicism invites you to pause and ask, what if I treated myself with the kindness I'd offer a friend? What if I forgave my missteps and celebrated my efforts? This shift begins with a simple yet powerful practice: writing a letter to yourself. Picture sitting at your kitchen table, a cup of coffee in hand, and putting pen to paper. Thank yourself for showing up, for trying, for carrying the load even when it felt too heavy. Forgive yourself for the deadlines missed, the words unspoken, the dreams deferred. This act of self-compassion is not indulgence, it's liberation. Consider the story of Elena, a single mother in Phoenix who spent years sacrificing her health for her kids and job as a bank teller. In 2024, a health scare forced her to confront her burnout. Feeling like a failure for not keeping it together, she stumbled across a Stoic exercise in a wellness blog. Write a letter of gratitude to yourself. Hesitant at first, she wrote about her strength in raising 2 children alone, her patience during long shifts, and her courage in seeking medical help. Reading her words, she wept, not from sadness, but from relief. For the first time, she saw herself not as a collection of flaws, but as a woman of resilience. By 2025, Elena had made self-love a daily habit, setting boundaries at work and carving out 10 minutes each morning to journal her gratitude for herself. Her health improved, and her kids noticed a lighter, happier mom. This practice is grounded in 4 Stoic-inspired steps, each a building block of self-love. First, acknowledge your humanity. Everyone stumbles. Missed deadlines, harsh words, unfulfilled goals are part of being human. Instead of judging yourself, say, "I'm learning, and that's enough." Second, practice gratitude for yourself. Each day, write down 3 things you appreciate about yourself: your kindness, your perseverance, or even your ability to get out of bed on a tough day. Third, let go of unrealistic standards. Productivity doesn't define you. If you're a student in Boston, it's okay to submit a B paper instead of an A. If you're a parent in Dallas, it's okay to order takeout instead of cooking. Rest is not failure, it's essential. Fourth, live fully in the present. When self-doubt creeps in, take a deep breath, go for a 5-minute walk, or listen to your favorite song without pressure to achieve. These moments ground you in the now, where your worth is unquestionable. From a critical thinking perspective, self-love challenges the cultural myth that worth is earned through output. Why do we hold ourselves to standards we'd never impose on others? Is our value truly tied to external markers, or is it inherent? In 2025, as Americans grapple with economic uncertainty and workplace burnout, a recent Gallup poll found 60% of U.S. workers feel disengaged at work. Self-love is a lifeline. It's a reminder that you are not your job, your bank account, or your follower count. By practicing these steps, you build resilience not just to survive, but to thrive. For example, in Minneapolis, community centers now offer self-compassion circles, where participants share letters to themselves, fostering a culture of acceptance in a city known for its hustle. These small acts ripple outward, creating a more compassionate world. Self-love also deepens our connection to others. When you accept yourself, you're better equipped to offer genuine kindness to friends, family, or strangers. In a diverse nation like the US, where division often dominates discourse, this practice builds bridges, reminding us that everyone carries their own struggles. It's a Stoic principle in action. By mastering your inner world, you contribute to the harmony of the outer one. But self-love is only half the equation. To fully embrace our humanity, we must also learn the art of surrender, a practice that, paradoxically, requires no effort at all. Surrender is not about giving up or admitting defeat. It's about recognizing that not every battle needs to be fought today, that sometimes the bravest act is to rest and trust in life's natural rhythms. Epictetus advised, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." In a culture that glorifies control, where Americans are taught to seize the day and make things happen, surrender feels counterintuitive. Yet, it's in letting go that we find true freedom. Imagine you're a freelance graphic designer in Brooklyn, juggling multiple clients and a side hustle. A missed project deadline spirals into panic, and you push yourself to work through the night, fueled by coffee and fear. Your body begs for rest, but you ignore it, convinced that stopping means failure. Stoicism offers a different path. What if you closed your laptop, took a nap, and trusted that your creativity would return? This act of surrender honors your body's wisdom, creating space for healing and renewal. Consider the story of Michael, a tech entrepreneur in Austin who faced burnout in 2024. After years of 80-hour workweeks building a startup, he hit a wall, unable to focus or innovate. Diagnosed with severe exhaustion, he resisted rest, fearing his company would collapse. But a therapist introduced him to the Stoic concept of surrender, explaining that letting go is not abandonment, but trust. Reluctantly, Michael took a week off, delegating tasks and spending time with his family. He went for walks in Zilker Park, watching the Colorado River flow, and journaled without pressure to plan his next move. At first, the stillness felt alien, but by day 3, his mind began to clear. Ideas for his startup emerged, not forced but organic. By 2025, Michael returned to work with a new vision, leading his company to a successful funding round. His recovery wasn't about pushing harder. It was about stepping back, trusting his mind and body to heal. Surrender is backed by science. A 2024 study from the Mayo Clinic found that rest and mindfulness practices, like meditation or simply doing nothing, reduce stress hormones by 20% within days, improving cognitive function and emotional resilience. In 2025, as Americans face relentless pressures, economic strain, political divides, and the gig economy's demands, surrender is a radical act of self-care. It's especially relevant for marginalized communities, like Black and Hispanic workers, who often face disproportionate workplace stress. Community programs in cities like Detroit and San Antonio now teach rest as resistance, encouraging people to pause without guilt, reclaiming energy for personal and collective growth. To practice surrender, start by listening to your body. If you're exhausted, take a 20-minute nap or sit quietly with a glass of water. If you're a teacher in Chicago, overwhelmed by grading, step away for a 10-minute break to breathe deeply. If you're a nurse in Miami, juggling night shifts, allow yourself a guilt-free evening of rest. Trust that your worth isn't tied to output. Use a journal to reflect on what you can control, your effort, your attitude, and let go of what you can't, like others' opinions or unpredictable outcomes. This practice fosters critical thinking, asking, do I need to fight this battle now? Is my need for control helping or harming me? By surrendering, you create space for clarity, creativity, and connection. Surrender and self-love are the culmination of our Stoic journey. Self-love affirms your inherent worth, freeing you from external pressures. Surrender releases the need to control, trusting life's flow. Together, They weave a narrative of resilience, from focusing on the positive to finding solace in nature, from small steps to communal support. This journey isn't about perfection. It's about progress, about choosing each day to live with intention and grace. As you move forward, carry these lessons like a lantern, illuminating your path through life's inevitable shadows. You are enough, just as you are, and in stillness or action, your light shines bright. As we reach the end of this Stoic journey, we've woven a tapestry of wisdom that began with a single thread: the power of our minds to shape our reality. From focusing on the positive to curating our mental environment, taking small steps, embracing gratitude, accepting life cycles, finding solace in nature, building a support system, practicing self-love, and surrendering to life's flow. These 9 lessons form a blueprint for resilience. They remind us that life's challenges, whether a missed deadline in a Chicago office, a sleepless night in a Miami hospital, or a moment of self-doubt in a Seattle coffee shop, are not roadblocks, but invitations to grow. Stoicism, as Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus taught, is not about escaping hardship, but about meeting it with courage, clarity, and compassion. In 2025, as Americans navigate economic uncertainty, digital overload, and the relentless pace of modern life, these timeless principles are more than philosophy. They're a lifeline. Applying these lessons today means reclaiming your power in a world that often feels chaotic. Start your morning with a gratitude journal, noting 3 things that bring you joy, like the warmth of a 12-ounce coffee or a kind word from a coworker. Pause your X feed for a 10-minute walk in a local park, letting the rustle of leaves quiet your mind. Take one small step toward a goal. Write a single sentence, stretch for 5 minutes, and celebrate it as progress. Reach out to a friend when the weight feels heavy, knowing that seeking help is strength, not weakness. Above all, forgive yourself for not being perfect. In a culture that demands constant hustle, rest is rebellion, and self-love is revolution. These practices don't require grand gestures. They thrive in the everyday moments, from a quiet evening in a Texas suburb to a busy day in a New York high-rise. They remind you that you are enough, just as you are. Now it's time to act. Join the ZENLIGHT 8 community on YouTube, where we explore Stoic wisdom to live with purpose and peace. Subscribe to never miss a video, and share this journey with someone who needs encouragement: a friend, a coworker, a family member. Let's build a community that uplifts and inspires. In the comments below, type the number 7 to share which of these lessons resonates most with you, whether it's gratitude, surrender, or the healing power of nature. Your story could spark hope for someone else. Together, let's master the art of living one intentional choice at a time. Thank you for joining us on this path. Keep shining, and we'll see you in the next video on ZENLIGHT 8.